Good morning to all of you. And today, the first session, we have Industry 4.0, of course. We have a gentleman from Malayalam Manorama to host to moderate the session and to chair the session. Uh, yes, we have a director of Malayalam Manorama, Mr. Jacob Judge. He has been associated with Malayalam Manorama since 1980 with functional responsibilities across all medias like print, TV, radio, online, and IT. Under his supervision, Manorama has set up a 10 megawatt wind farm making. Uh, Manorama also a green certified company. So he oversees the production operations of Manorama, which has 11 printing plants across Kerala with a highly automated and sophisticated process, starting with robotic guided vehicles for loading newsprint, also unloading the newsprint from warehouses, and also in the press area, etc. They also have 14 double width presses with fully automated mailroom systems. So without further delay, I would request Mr. George Jacob to take over and lead us the session for us. Yeah, please, sir.
Thank you, Prabhu. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is awake. I don't know how many are working from home and how many are working from office. We all got relaxed during the lockdown because we could work in our pajamas from home. But I hope now everybody is back to normal. So my role today is to moderate this session, which is Industry 4.0 and its application in news media. To be very honest, this is the first time I'm hearing of Industry 4.0, so I will be learning along with each of you. Our panelist for today is Snehashis Roy. The C part of it, I keep silent. Snehashis is known to almost everyone in India in the printing field. As currently head of Times of India Group, as the technical director, he is in overall charge of operations and part of the CapEx procurement and technology. Snehashis is an MBA from Narsi Monji Institute of Management and BSc in printing technology from Rochester Institute, USA. As all of us know, Rochester is probably the premiermost institution for printing technology in the world. Snehashis has over 28 years of leadership experience with Times of India, Times Warner, Dainik Bhaskar, Anand Bazar Patrika, and so on. But he is always a source of knowledge, and over my past interaction with him, he has been totally cooperative about sharing his knowledge and his experience. And today I am sure on a subject which I'm sure most of us have not much clue about, he will be able to enlighten us. So Snehashis, over to you. You have about 30 minutes, including Q&A. So I will remind you if you're running late. Thank you, Snehashis.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. And I'm sure in the morning session would be all alive and kicking to go. The topic we talk today, Industry 4.0, is a topic that is very relevant today because of the COVID-19 situation, where we are constant with the cost optimization, we are constant with the workflow optimization, we are constant with the little bit of more automation and trying to optimize all of our resources and especially improve the productivity of our manpower. So Industry 4.0, what we are implementing and we are working on at Bennett Coleman Company and Times of India Group is based on our productivity improvement, where primarily the maintenance part of the activity, engineering maintenance part of the activity will be the prime goal first. And we'll also have a lot more visibility about the processes in all around. I mean, what is happening, what is, where are we having certain amount of lags, and what are the things we can do to improve our workflow and our manpower productivity. So Industry 4.0 study and implementation program in Bennett Coleman has happened and starting at a very, very beginning stage at this point of time. And I'm not an expert in this area. I have learned myself for a couple of years, last couple of years, and implementing it. So there will be gaps in my knowledge, and which I will, if you post me questions, I will try to bridge it up now, or in future time through my email address, you can address me and I will answer your question. So Jacob, I'll just go to a presentation now for 15 minutes. Okay, is it visible? Okay, great. So what we're talking about Industry 4.0 is a typical application in print production. Okay, it looks very high tech, but it is high tech actually. But let's go to the next slide and start discussion. You all know that industrial revolutions, right? Every 100 years, like one pandemic comes, also one industrial revolution comes. 1784 was the first industrial revolution that we all know, the Renaissance that happened. After that, we had mass production, 1870s. The mass production became a key word in industrial revolution. And 1969, we started with robotics and the preparation for landing of our robotically controlled lunar shuttle to the moon. 71, 69, most of you will not be knowing, but that is the time when the robotics and automation and all of that has started. So every almost like 100 years, we get a huge technological leap. So Industry 4.0 takes all of that automation and kind of tries to put a cyber physical system where you have every equipment, every part of your process is connected to each other and it talks to each other. It can actually give signal to each other about their health, their preparedness, and how and when they to be turned on and off. So you, in turn, actually help in reducing a lot of time which is wasted by running those equipment uselessly. It is like all interlocked where every equipment, every production infrastructure has to start and stop. All of that can be automated, and more importantly, today we do actually, maintenance of our machines based on periodic maintenance, mostly recommended by the machine manufacturers or equipment manufacturers. Whereas often we saw that we open a component and find the component is perfectly fine. And it can be put back and stay, but it takes a lot of time, take it out, put it back in. What if the machine could talk to you? What if the machine could tell you, like, I am having a fever and I am sick, or I'm fine, I don't need any medication today. So if the machine could talk, components could talk to you and tell you, or you could give a prescription to the component saying that component A, Z, and B only needs repairing or attendance. Baki ka component, all the other components are perfectly okay. So I don't need to do a periodic maintenance. I do a prescriptive maintenance. Maintenance based on the health condition of the machine or the component of the machine. That would be wonderful, because then I can optimize my engineers to only attain those areas where the failure can happen. I can preempt the failure and try to put my resources, smaller resources now, to focus repairing and maintenance activity. The whole purpose of Industry 4.0 is to focus your maintenance and your attention activity into area where the problem can happen. Typically, preventive maintenance and prescriptive maintenance has a big difference in terms of cost savings and time savings. Up to 30% of the cost of manpower as well as spare parts can be saved by if you can implement Industry 4.0 to its 2 cents. This is the experience that I have gathered in my interaction with the Blue Star and SKF, Bearing, and many other companies that we have been interacting and learning from. So I go to the next slide now. Why do we need this? If you look at the, if you look at the today's business, real-time monitoring is a requirement today. Remote managing, we need to be not always able to go to the machine and do the work, especially in the digital world. You need to be connected to all your equipment from your mobile device so that you know what is going on, when the machine has started, what are the faults happening, all of that. It should be centrally visible. It should be accessible to the people, technical senior people who are limited in number. They should be able to, if you have 10 different plants all across the globe, all across the Indian global scenario, and you need to understand what is happening to each of your plants, then you need a real-time monitoring, real-time visibility. Okay, and of course, the cost reboot, which has come because of COVID, our part page cost has gone up and all of these things have been very, very difficult to manage. Cost has been a difficult to manage thing. In that scenario, this Industry 4.0 can be of a great help. Also, you know, most of us uses technology from Japan, Germany, Switzerland, or France, or different countries. And in those countries, R&D fund given to development of printing infrastructure is coming down, very, very much down, because new printing machines are not being made, and companies don't find it remunerative to invest in R&D. So obsolescence is becoming a big challenge for all of us. So this will give you a preempted idea about where things are going obsolete, where you need to take care. And also we talk about more generic than, more generic technology which will be used for this kind of a environment of Industry 4.0. Weakening OEM, just talked about that. Our original equipment manufacturers from abroad are getting weakened. Increasing of the cost, both fixed cost because of inflation, employee cost is going up, material cost is going up because of many of the raw materials are going up and they are becoming scarce, and people are not putting focus on only print industry to manufacture something, which is actually a little bit of a declining stage at this point of time. The demand is declining, so all of this area will give us challenges. Talent attraction, of course, it will be a difficult industry for good people to come in, unless you really make something like a technology-led company where younger people are interested to work in and get the challenge. And the complexity, today, I typically tell you about 10 years back, we had about 5.5 hours or 6 hours of window where we used to print. It will start from 11 o'clock and up to 5 o'clock, 5:30, we could print. Today, that print window has shrunk to a very small window of 12:30, we start our press, and 3:30, 4 o'clock, we have to finish. So you see the shrinking of the print window as is happening everywhere, because we need to be going to the market faster and we need to be closing our pages as late as possible. So the pressure comes on print infrastructure to deliver. And then innovation is become a lot of product innovations we do, where GNP we add with SNP printing at the high speed at night. We do a lot of other French window and folds and other things. Fifth color we started doing. So all of this activity makes it more complex. All of this asks for a workflow optimization and some kind of automation like Industry 4.0. So what are the prerequisites? How do you know you are ready for Industry 4.0? So what we did, compulsorily all plants, first to implement 5S. 5S, the Japanese technology of 5S, will ensure that all your processes are streamlined, all your places are properly organized and clean, and you can start a good activity in a good, clean environment where you have redundancy has been completely removed from the system. Then we did a work called Lean. Lean is nothing but value stream mapping and optimization. We have gone through every stages of process that we add value, from a page creation to a copy delivered to the doorstep of a reader. And we have mapped all of these processes with the process owners. We started with the 618 processes, mini processes in the whole chain. Then we have said, no, all of these processes I cannot put focus on. Every process has an output. So we then optimize it to 190. That's what we call value stream mapping. What are the things we don't want to monitor or don't want to put our focus on or people on are more important than what we need to actually do. So what we don't want to do or what we don't want to put manpower in, which can be automated or can be amalgamated into one process, that was the biggest challenge, and the maximum time in our journey took the value stream mapping. Value stream mapping created many teams working very intently on each processes, and process owners had to give up their process, saying that, okay, fine, I give up my process to you and you amalgamate into one process. So from 600 plus, we came to 198. And then in the phase one, we are focusing on 48 only processes, which will be optimizing under Industry 4.0. So 5S and Lean must be done before you can even think of implementation of Industry 4.0. So if you look at the pillars of Industry 4.0, if you look at the left half of the picture and right half of the picture, left half of the picture is big data and analytics. IIoT is nothing but connecting your, say, a compressor, and connecting the compressor, its heat generation, its current drawn, its vibration data using small sensors, which is enabled to be networked in Wi-Fi or in real network. That equipment should give its health data to the platform, to the Industry 4.0 basic platform. So IIoT, cloud computing is, again, we prefer cloud computing because it gives you mobility. It gives you access from anywhere. And it is upscalable. If you start small, if you have to make it bigger and bigger, you don't have to start big at the beginning. So cloud computing is scalable, and cloud computing is actually accessible from anywhere. So we prefer cloud computing. We prefer IIoT to get the data that is required in the system for all the individual components of the process. And all of that data has to be put through a big data analytics to give us a lot of indicative dashboards. So first part of the activity that right now we are right into is implementing IIoT, connecting all the major infrastructure into a system, a platform, and then using that platform into the cloud computing, and taking the data and start analyzing them, putting dashboards up everywhere to see where do we have opportunity, where do we have lags, and how we can bridge those gaps, and how we can optimize those things. Once we've done that part, then we go to another platform, which is actually does machine learning. This data now is transferred to another server, another platform, where we study this data intently, and then we start doing machine learning and artificial intelligence. Then we can actually get into a phase where you can have a lot of these processes automated, manless. They will be talking to each other and turning on and off at the appropriate time when the process requirement is there. Like your lights will be turned on 5 minutes before the machine hall needs to be energized. Your compressor can be turned on 15 minutes before the machine has to be turning on. It does not to be they are turning on from the morning at 10 o'clock when the shift starts. Everything don't have to start. It has to exactly start, and there is no human being required to do all of that. I do a programming or a scheduling of the job to my machine, and the machine gives signal to all my peripheral infrastructure to start and stop at a particular time. And that can initially be done manually or using data. Afterwards, it can be artificial intelligence. It can learn itself and it can actually go into that. And additive manufacturing gives you a very big help in obsolescence. Like one particular component is completely obsolete. You don't have it anymore. You can get a 3D design done and make one piece or couple of pieces of that particular part, spare parts, and still keep on running your machine. So additive manufacturing will become a part of our journey. And augmented reality will be the last stage where we will be able to use one big knowledgeable engineer sitting in a central location and helping 10 low-cost manpower who can actually be his hands and arms to do the activity across the country. So the main engineer can sit in a central location and keep on using augmented reality, keep on instructing, training a low-cost resource to do the job of maintenance or production all across the country. So that is augmented reality usage for us and some of the robotics and etc. So there are two phases. I said big data analytics, IIoT, cloud computing with the phase 1, and autonomous robots. Robots were there in 1969, but autonomous robots know exactly what to do and when to do by artificial intelligence. That is the difference between robots and autonomous robots. So if enough of that technology part, I will just go to the next one. And let's look at a typical factory level. If you look at the pre-press, PTP press, mailroom, ancillaries, fire safety utilities, inventory management, raw materials, and manpower. All of that are being monitored with different systems today. Machine may have a machine control system. CTP may have a CTP control system like OBE or something. And you have a page planning system. All of these systems are nothing but they are digital systems by which you plan, program, do activity. Basic purpose of data, IIoT is to make sure all of this data integrates into a digital trading platform. All of them are put into one kind of communication level, and we thread it to one platform where all of them can understand each other. It's like if you talk in Malayalam, Bengali, Hindi, and Gujarati, and then you all speak in English. So converting every equipment's data into one platform and then giving the data to your Industry 4.0 platform will make this equipment talk to each other. Then you start doing the analytics. Once the data is purified and it is understandable, then you start doing a lot of interlocks, trends, insights, predictions, start doing analytics. And then on the other hand, this digital trading will start giving you monitors, a lot of dashboards, visible dashboard, accessible dashboard from anywhere. You can monitor your system anytime you want. It looks very nice, very, very high tech, but it also is very helpful because it tells you where the lags are, where you can optimize. Then the step 2, now I'm coming to the phase 2, where you give this data from the platform for continuous learning, big data analytics, and machine learning, artificial intelligence, and then you come back to control your systems automatically. So in the stage 1, you don't control your individual equipment automatically. You do it manually, data goes in, you get dashboards, and you get optimization possibilities. Phase 2, with artificial learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence, it comes back and start monitoring each process intently. So you complete the cycle, you get the full benefit of Industry 4.0 optimization. So if you look at a schema, how it works, you have this press, PTP, EMS, ancillaries, a little bit more understandable here, and you have local servers. And then you got a central server, which is the Industry 4.0 platform. And then your newspaper consumables, other data also comes in by trading to the same platform. And then you have your operational data on a database. The database goes to big data analytics. This is on the left hand side bottom corner, which I'm talking about, machine learning and stuff. And then it starts interacting with the press, pre-press, and editorial workflow, so that the whole things become connected. Cyber physical system is Industry 4.0. So if it is understood, I'll just go to the next slide. Jacob, how I'm doing with the time? How many more minutes I have? 6 minutes. Very good. Thank you. So in the flexibility and quality, you always go up when you go to Industry 4.0. And cost and complexity comes down. Complexity comes down because you no longer have to human-based decision making. You don't have to wait for somebody's call to tell you what to do. You know, the systems know, equipments know each other much better than human intervention. So complexity becomes less, cost is improved. And what do we deliver? We deliver efficiency improvement, process simplification, productivity enhancement, which is very important with less manpower, inventory optimization, seamless integration, and advanced decision support. We know from before that something may fail in 2 days or 4 days. So you can automatically go and do an intervention and help a breakdown to happen. So then we go to, so typically in the first level, what we are concentrating in 4 areas: maintenance 4.0, where we will be talking about maintenance excellence, component and equipment life extension, data-driven decision making. In process simplification, we look in mobility, value stream mapping already have done in all processes, workflow automation that will come along with the dashboard, centralized control. Again, from a dashboard, centralized, you can control things. And prescriptive maintenance, I already spoke about it, as opposed to periodic or condition-based maintenance. Just-in-time prescriptive maintenance is the goal that we are aiming at. Additive manufacturing gives us unique spares which are no longer available, obsolete hardware parts, and creating test models. So these 4 areas we have adopted to the step 1 of Industry 4.0. Process simplification, additive manufacturing, prescriptive maintenance, and maintenance 4.0. I'll just go to one more slide. I think I'm coming to the end of my presentation. IoT connected platform by sensors. This is a little bit more simplification. Sensors stream data about machine vital stats. I'm going clockwise from the top. IoT connected platform by sensors. Sensors stream data about machine vital statisticals in real time. You can have vibration, you can have acoustic data like sound. In some rotational parts start getting weared out, it will start making more noise, more sound. So you can have sound monitoring, you can have heat monitoring, you can have current drawn monitoring, you can have vibration monitoring to get the health, and obviously thermal monitoring, heat monitoring is one of the biggest advantage. So all of that monitoring, that small sensor can give you the data, and it can come to a central location saying that this particular cylinder, this particular bearing is giving more vibration than the threshold, and you need to take care of it. So our engineers can focus better. So then you have data monitored activity automatically, maintenance tickets, etc. can be generated, and proactive alerts can be created through the threshold setting. Above the threshold, it gives you an alarm saying that, come on, you go and quickly attend this particular area. So less number of people can work and maintain machines better. And machine learning comes as a part of long-term value-added services where everything can be made almost automated. Okay, let's shape the future. Thank you. So Jacob, I'm done.
Thank you. We have plenty of questions. What did somebody say? We have still 2 minutes left. So first question, from Kumar Natarajan Ifra. Is there any newspaper company in India or the world which has implemented Industry 4.0?
I have not worked with a newspaper company in India or abroad. I actually don't know. There have been some of the area where, like in distribution, some activity of Industry 4.0 I have seen in Sweden and Denmark. But as a whole, as a company, we have not seen much of the application that in print industry today, Industry 4.0 application happen. See, Jacob, this is at a hype stage. You know what hype stage is? Hype stage is when you have everybody is trying to learn and implement. It has happened in very big way in air conditioning and that industry. You know, Blue Star and other companies are almost fully Industry 4.0 compliant. SK Bearing I visited, they are fully compliant. But print industry as such, Jacob, maybe we will be the pioneers doing this kind of activity.
Okay, second question, Pratim Datta. How will this ensure print growth over digitization, and can it ensure and secure the print industry over the years to come, especially in this part of the world?
Okay, Pratim, this is a big task to ask from an industrial revolution. It has to be the market-driven thing, you know, whether industry will survive, whether revenue will come back, whether distribution will happen. All of that questions, Industry 4.0 cannot answer you. It can bring more productivity for people. It can reduce the number of people you will be employing to do the work. You can use more focused and more high-skilled person, one of them, and do multiple activities. So manpower productivity can be hugely improved. And one of the big component of our cost is manpower. So there it can help.
Okay, we are now out of time. The remaining questions would be sent to the speaker, and he would answer them on email. I think that's the only way. There are lots of questions. Sure. So
yeah, there are plenty of questions. Yes, sir. There are plenty of questions. We'll answer them offline. So please, all participants, please go back to your timeline and then switch to the next session. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.